One day they called me up and they were like, well, listen, getting ready to make this film. We want you to be on it. And told me the storyline, which I thought was fantastic.
I got involved in this project because I was really fortunate. And Ed and Jose contacted me, and because they were putting this film together, and I had talked with them before and worked with them before. And I said, please put me in one of your movies. And I thought they would never call me back, but they did. And they said, we have the perfect role for you.
The Quiroz brothers, they called me, and I can't say no to them. I mean, I've been working with them since, I believe, 2003 now, and it's been fun. It's like the 8th movie now with them, and like I said, I just can't say no.
I think he said, just tell me who you want to be and you can be it. And so I said, okay, I'll be Ariel, because I like the name, and I kind of liked her character.
And when I heard about the script, I was told Angel Aviles was going to be involved in this. And then once I found out she was going to be involved in it, I was like, dude, I got to be a part of this film. Send me the script and let me do something.
Part of the reason why I was drawn to this project was the script. It's a little different than what I've done before.
It was another great experience working with those guys. They sent me the script and I loved it.
Typically either act in really goofy, trashy kind of fun movies, or I act in more like serious slasher, zombie movies, something really gory. This movie wasn't like that. It was more supernatural, and I haven't done a supernatural type film.
Playing a whole different type of character, like a priest, which is something I've never touched before, and I never thought I would play a priest.
This had like ghosts in it. It was also a family drama.
It was more of a performance piece, I think, instead of it, relying on makeup and special effects and, post-production and stuff like that.
There was just a lot more emotion involved, and that's what drew me to this film, was just the characters and the story behind it, and that there's a child in it. That's not typical for a lot of horror movies these days.
It's more than just your Exorcist type movie, not to jump on that movie itself. I mean, I play a priest, and the way I thought it was going to roll before I actually read the script when it was explained to me was that I was going to do the whole exorcism thing and take the evil out, and then we move on from there. But there's actually a pretty good story behind it, because it can happen to just about anybody.
Deliverance from Evil is a ghost story. It's a movie about a family who relocates, and they move into a new house, and they aren't there too long before this horrible thing happens, and their son passes away. And at first they think it's just this real unfortunate accident, but as the story unfolds, they realize that there's a lot more going on in this new house of theirs.
But I did check out other horror movies where priests were in there to see how they actually act, and the priests they never really get out of character as far as how they are in the sense of the church, because that's what they do. They are the man of from God. They answer to Him, and I didn't want to get too religious in it either, because I didn't want to be like, okay, he's a fake priest. Obviously we're acting, but at the same time I wanted to try to get a little into the role. So you'll see when I get into this movie, I kind of stay very basic, but yet I try to touch a little bit of what I've seen in other movies.
I play Mike. Mike is the husband and the father, and when his son passes away, obviously, it's a horrible tragedy, and there's just a period of trying to wrap your head around what just happened, and now on top of that, you start to find out that there's other things going on in this house.
To actually read from the Bible when I'm doing the exorcism, and talking to our other fellow actor, Jose, and seeing the way he was reacting, it made me get deeper into it. Like, it almost felt like he was really possessed. And I had to really, really hit him as hard as I can. Not literally, but, really hit him with all the passages in the Bible to let the exorcism sound real.
One of the highlights working on this film was not only being able to meet Victor Miller, but to shoot a scene with him.
What am I called now? A postal worker, a mail delivery human. It used to be called a mailman.
He's the guy who wrote the original Friday the 13th screenplay. And I mean, talk about a guy who kind of started it all.
This is not a small role with no character. This is a crucial character. The mailman in this movie is the equivalent of the Greek chorus. If you go back to the great Greek dramas, this guy I play the role that Rex Everhart actually played in Friday the 13th. Rex Everhart, if you remember, was the truck driver. He was a great actor. He got to tell her, whoa, don't go there. This is a bad place for you. And she doesn't take his advice and gets killed. And so this is a noble profession, this soothsaying department in horror movies. There's always going to be somebody who says, the realtor didn't tell you? Tell me what? Tell you that the place is haunted and there were horrible killings there and that nobody who's ever had this house has ever lived? I'm being silly, but it's a great role and I enjoyed the hell out of it.
The real estate agent didn't tell you? About 5 or 6 years ago, there's a terrible accident here. A young family passed away.
What?
Kids say it's haunted.
Talk about a guy, you know, Jason Voorhees, you know what I mean? I mean, I've had an opportunity to work with Kane Hodder in the past, and that was real special. But you know, just again, meeting Victor and being able to work with him was real special.
I kind of believe in this stuff, and especially when you know, a family is trying to grow and make their. I don't want to give away too much of the movie and how this actually happens, but when you have a couple with a child, you're just thinking beautiful life from this point forward. And then when negativity comes in, all hell just breaks loose, you know, and that's kind of what this movie's all about.
Dealing with something you don't quite understand, you know, what's in that room, or why are we experiencing this in this house?
I have known so many people who I can't understand any reason for their behavior unless it was demonic possessions.
I'm a believer to a point, but when you see certain shows sometimes, you're like, you have to almost you know, you have to question them. Is that real? Did they make that up? You know, it's like the whole thing, is there a real Bigfoot? You know, it depends on what you believe in. Is there real, you know, is there life after death? You know, is there spirits that really live around you after you're gone? It all depends on what you believe. I believe in all that because I really like to, I don't want to say I've studied it, but I've looked into it quite a few times. And there's some really interesting things. And then again, you tell some friends, they're like, that ain't true, quit believing that. I somewhat believe in it.
Definitely believe in that. Until you see something like that. I've had a few moments that I've experienced that growing up.
I'm a skeptic. I actually don't believe in ghosts at all. I don't believe in anything supernatural.
I don't know, that's a 50-50. I've never witnessed anything, I've never seen anything. Is it possible? Sure. Do I believe in it? I don't have to stay a skeptic.
It's funny because I kind of keep a certain mindset when it comes to demonic possession, because I can understand from, I look at it from two different points of view, in the respect that, like, you know, I don't know, maybe it very well may be true, it might happen, but then on the other hand, I can think from a scientific point of view that, yeah, there are certain things that look like demonic possession, but I mean, when it comes to both of it, I think it's a way that people deal with certain things. I mean, when somebody's demonically possessed, the idea is that, you know, that they're fixated on something possibly, or that they did something wrong or something. Ironically, though, in the Old Testament, they talk about how there was a mistranslation in being possessed. And the idea was that you weren't possessed by a demon, you possessed a demon. And in that way, you welcomed something into your life, something that you did that was, you know, like smoking or drinking or being addicted to something.
I'm not a real follower of demonic possession, but I have no explanation for somebody like Hitler, other than, you know, really crazy.
I definitely believe there's something. You know, what it is, I don't know. Is it demonic? Is it, you know, something else? I don't know. But I'm definitely a believer.
I'm not really a religious person. I think I'm probably spiritual. I believe in energy in the planet, like from people and transferring to certain types of energy. But to think that there is a ghost, an image of a person following me around in a room, to me just seems pretty silly.
I think everybody loves to be scared and love the unexpected from a horror movie, you know?
I scare myself on a daily basis, but by doing random retarded things, I get into trouble a lot and I get scared and things spook me, but no, not anything supernatural.
I'm definitely a fan of horror movies, especially when, you know, it's kind of, I'm not really a jumpy kind of guy, you know. There's some people that are very jumpy that watch a film and they get, you know, they're very, very scared. I have an aunt that will not watch scary movies because she'll have nightmares right away. And I'm not that type of person, but I enjoy horror films, especially when you're dealing with the unknown.
I am a huge fan of horror movies. I grew up watching horror movies since I was a little child. Probably one of the first movies I've ever seen was Squirm with the worms in the guy's face. And I was like 4 years old running around quoting this movie to people.
I'm a big fan of horror movies. I mean, we go way, way back from The Exorcist, you know, and then of course, as you jump into Friday the 13th, and then it goes on from there, Alien. And I mean, I don't get scared like other people like, oh, I'm not gonna go see a horror movie because it's scary. I like to see that. I like to get, you know, I like to jump every time something happens, you know, the suspense of it.
I'm a huge fan of horror films. You know, I grew up in the 80s where all the best horror films, you know, when all the best horror films were made. You know, everything that you see nowadays is recycled. You know what I mean? It's really tough to you know, catch anything original.
But I love intermingling of genres. That's like my big thing, you know. Like when I first saw Alien, I was like, oh my God. I mean, I was only 7 or 8 years old, but I got it. It was like, okay, this is an old-timey kind of horror film, but it's set in the future. And like it was just, again, like, you know, more bang for your buck. You've got, you know, you've got this whole gothic cathedral-looking spaceship, and then you've got this cool monster that's totally cutting edge. But the framework of the story was still the same old school, you know, 10 little Indians, one person getting, you know, killed off one by one. But yeah, I love all that stuff, you know, Michael Myers and even the cheesy stuff in the 80s. I watch all the, you know, not all the Freddy movies, but, you know, I would watch the Freddy movies and, you know, whatever, Jason and whatnot. Yeah, definitely.
Well, while we were shooting the movie, you have to bear in mind that my memory is not what it used to be, and so we had more takes than I would have been happy with, only because I couldn't remember my lines. But so I made an entrance, walking along with my little mailbag and stuff, and there I am coming by, and I had to pass this woman's house, and she did not know that there was a movie being made, and so she came out and asked for her mail. As I was about to deliver one of my great lines about what the realtor didn't tell you, this is a haunted house. This is method acting, clearly. If she took me for a mailman, I mean, I think there should be an award for my performance. I got started in horror in a way that, I don't know, life is like this. I wanted to be, actually I wanted to write funny films, but Sean called me up and said that Halloween's making a lot of money, let's rip it off. And so I went to Halloween to see how do you write a horror movie and wrote one. And I don't mean to make it sound that easy, because I had spent 10 years just about starving. If my wife hadn't worked as a legal secretary, I would have been on welfare. And so the week before Friday the 13th opened, I tried to sell my blood, but they didn't want it. And so who knows? Life is going to do to you whatever it does to you. Just make sure you don't go to summer camp and don't hang out with a lot of teenagers who are making love. And always listen. If a mailman comes up to you and says, don't buy that house, it's haunted, you are in deep shit.
You can put my cat on camera if you want.
This isn't that kind of movie. I'm
sorry. Oh, okay.